All right, we're about to kick off in a second. Yeah, we're about to we're about to kick off. So this is once again King Cam and Ujumbe podcast. This is time for Ta-Seti. I have my Langston University. Let me see if it works. Langston University shirt. Yeah, I'm really excited today. My eldest son has came back in from college. This is his. He's done. He's done for the school year. But yeah, we're gonna wait a few more minutes before everybody jumps in. So we're about to get down with it. Time for Ta-Seti. Okay. Let me see. I see somebody just popped up. What's going on? Appreciate you coming. Tell me where you're from, who you are, where you're from. Um, put that in the chat. Let me go ahead and type this in. Time for Ta-Seti. Yeah. Okay. Greetings, everybody. Greetings, greetings. Okay. You listen to King Cam and Jube podcast. And Jube means message. It's time for Ta-Seti. We've heard a great deal on Kemet. Okay, we heard a lot of that. We heard a lot of chatter about Kemet, and but what about the people in the South? Okay, what about the people further south? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that today. I appreciate people listening. Shout out to the fam all over in Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Los Angeles, New York, Texas. I really appreciate you guys listening in. Georgia, yeah. So I really appreciate you guys listening. So, but yeah, it's very important that we kind of diversify our instruction. You understand? That's why we harp on one facet for a long time, but we neglect everything else and everybody else, and that's not fair when it comes down to teaching. So my goal is to try to highlight various parts of Africa, not just one place. So this summer we are going to get into Nubia this summer for King Cam Summer School. Yeah, this is the book we're going to get into, the wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire by Sister Houston. We're going to get in. We're going to get in on that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really happy about that. So, and of course, in between that, I will have some interviews with a couple of key people that I look up to that are historians or people in the community. I'm really excited about that. But why should we study Kush? Why should we study Kush over Kemet right now? Uh, and when it comes to ancient civilizations, of course, Kemet is the crown jewel, is the one when it comes down to the pyramids, when it comes down to Ramses II, when it comes down to the monarchies and hieroglyphs and the pharaohs and so on. But um, it seems like Kush gets overlooked or overshadowed with all this, and so it's a civilization in and of itself in its own right. And I think the fam in Nubia or Sudan needs that recognition. Khartoum, Markuria, they need these things. They need to get that same enthusiasm when it comes down to studying, when it comes down to the information. Um, there's a couple of reasons why new scholars should look further south into Nubia to look at Kush. Uh, to uncover uh, an African civilization, even though Egypt is in Africa, but there's a lot of information we do not know about Kush. What's going on? Okay, Love Child on the beat. She got the beats. What's going on? All right. Yeah. So it's very important that we look further south and I think because of the Aswan Dam issue, it it basically overshadowed and covered and destroyed a lot of artifacts that could have bridged the gap between the south and the north. A lot of that was lost. However, a lot of people in Nubia that still are in the southern regions of Egypt into further into the south, they still hold that tradition. They still know what's going on. A lot of people who live by Abu Simbel in the south, They're Nubian. They're not the people of the Delta. They're not from up north. When you look at pictures of the people in Aswan area and into Nubia, they kind of look like me or darker. And they're the ones that have that information. And so dealing with Nubian Meroe's hieroglyphics, it's the same, but it's not the same. We gotta break that down. You know, we need some scholars on out there to go ahead and do that research. But we spend a lot of time dealing with the hieroglyphics and so on. But Meroe have theirs also. Okay, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me where you guys are from. But yeah, studying Kush allows us to appreciate the diversity of that region, even though they were the same, but there were some differences. Like people who live in New Orleans, or and people who live in Houston, they're the same, but they're not the same because of the environment and the culture. All right, so we need to look into that. We need to check that out. So there are hieroglyphics that Meroe has that are different than Kemet. We need to study that. We need to get into it. And so I think that's part of the learning process. And I believe that I think there's some brothers and sisters that did study the Congo language and uh, the Swahili language further south, and they made some connections with languages in Kemet and in Sudan. And we need to figure some things out, because if that language is kind of intact in Kemet, it should be intact in Nubia. We need to check it out. We need to look into it. Okay. But yeah, this summer we are going to talk about Nubia. And another thing, there is a different perspective on ancient history. So one, we need to uncover some stuff, right? We need to get into it. We need to study it. We need to, keep that same energy, right? And then so the next thing, there's a different perspective. Kemetic history is viewed through one lens, dealing with their monuments that are intact, dealing with their information that is intact, and their records, right? But Kush, on the flip side, on the other hand, has a different point of view because they're further south and they're based on, at this point, oral tradition, right? Kushite civilization thrived on trade, they lived off of interaction with other people. So they dealt with, say, metalwork, because there were people further south that were ironsmiths, and they were very sought after all over Africa, and most of them came from Anu, which is in Nubia. They were the ironsmiths. They was the ones that made this thing into an art form, into a craft, and they passed it down from one generation to generation. They were the ones that were in Nubia and Ethiopia making it happen. So the metalwork needs to be looked at. Okay, and of course, the artwork. I've seen some some buildings and some artifacts, some pictures of artifacts from Nubia that look very similar to Egypt, but there was a lot more um, southern. Okay, I can't. I'm trying to divorce the concept of saying African because Egypt is African also, but their features was a lot different. Okay, I'm gonna try to put some out there, but their their buildings were the same. The way they dressed were the same because it was the same culture. It was the same culture. It was like when you think about, say my grandmother went to a church in Arkansas, and then my family went to a similar church in Dallas or whatever. It's the same, but there were some things that were different. But at the primary level, at the basic level, they were the same. So we need to look at those perspectives. We need to check them out, and and we also need to look at the relationship between the two. There is a relationship. A lot of people would try to say when Egypt gets involved or Kush gets involved, they're policing Egypt. Well, we have to understand that Egypt is the daughter of Kush, or Kemet is the daughter of Kush. And whenever Kemet gets out of order, Kush got to come in and do what they need to do. It's not just say the 25th dynasty of invasions and what have you. It There was some other things that was happening. So, but there was a relationship between the two. Okay, Ta-Seti was the place um, where kings and queens were recognized as such. You had to be from there in order to even have a legitimate seat in Kemet. Okay, Ramses II, even though he was African, his wife Nefertari was Nubian. All right. And somebody mentioned at the last live, I think mentioned Akhenaten. Um, the reason why he got in trouble was because he married a foreigner. Okay, and she was not from there. Nefertiti was not from. She was black, but she was not from Kemet. Okay, that was an issue. All right, so but that's another discussion another day. So, but yeah, so Kush and Egypt, there is a relationship intertwined because of cultural similarities, trading, and there was it was a mutual respect. When Greece and Rome came into Egypt and pushed people out, a lot of the people went south into Kush for refuge and for help. Okay, let's be real about it. But the thing is, um, the people from Egypt, the Africans in Egypt, can come to Kush, but everybody, no, y'all need to stay up there where y'all at. Okay, so there was a respectful relationship between the two, and there are some archaeological things that we need to look at. There's some things that we need to pay attention to. Yeah, in Kemet, in Egypt, we know where Waset is, we know where Luxor is, but there's some things in Kush that we need to look at. We need to look into. Okay, we need to look at Meroe, Napata, Kerma. There's still some things that we need to look at. One day I may have to go and road trip. Me and Queen Cam have to go and road trip down there and check it out. The pyramids of Meroe, for example, are less grand, but they have a lot of information there. While everybody's over there at Giza, some people need to be going further south. I know uh, brother Quasi. I saw Quasi. He goes every summer to up and down the Nile every summer. A shout out to him. He does tours every summer. But we need more people to go further south and look at these places. Okay, offering new opportunities and research and discovery. I know some people, scholars that are going to Ghana. There are scholars that are going to Nigeria and so on. We need some scholars to go into uh, Nubia, into Ethiopia, and really look at those artifacts. Pay attention, ask questions, not just go to the museum. Ask the people what's going on. That's a primary source, right? And we got to challenge that narrative. Okay, the traditional narrative is always downplayed in the sense that Kush wasn't that important. Over the years, we have found out Kush is very significant in this process. Okay, and the only time that this can be um, done well is if people put a spotlight on Kush. Not to say, because there's the spotlights on it now to say, okay, they're the black pharaohs. Okay, what about the ones in Kemet? They were black too. So what are we saying here? No, we need to study, and historians, scholars normally have a Eurocentric view. We need to bring in scholars from with a different mentality, okay, and mainly to preserve and promote African heritage because Kemet, Kush, and Ethiopia is African, and it belongs to the African people, and that history needs to be preserved. Okay, so that's the reason why we need to have time for Ta-Seti. And to my understanding, Ta-Seti is just a gnome out of the whole thing. So we have to look at Meroe as a state, Nubia as a full-on empire, right? So there's a couple things I recommend. Of course, for example, Introduction to African Civilization. That's real good. Okay, by John. What's going on? Who's that? Okay, who's that? Mo. What's going on? I'm glad that you're here. What's going? I really appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. We. It's time for Ta-Seti. You know, we done Kemet. Um, we about to move on. This is about to be summer school, and we're doing student enrollment. I'm gonna work on like an email list and have a live webinar for free before we do summer school because night school is almost over. We're almost done with the book, Lost Cities of Africa. We got two more chapters to go, but we're about to get into Nubia for this summer, and it's time for Nubia. Okay, it's time for Kush to get her shine. And the book we're going to use is The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. I'm going to put the link in the description. And as an Amazon affiliate, I earn from qualifying purchases. But yeah, why do other people continue to take antiquities away from the culture? It's almost like Indian culture now. Yeah, unfortunately, people steal. So, but they, and then the sad part is when the European museums give it, they when say Nigeria or other African countries ask for their stuff back, the Europeans say, "Hey, we can give it back to you, but it's going to be on loan." It's my stuff. Like, no, I'm not going to have it on a loan. I want my stuff, right? And so, yeah, yeah, it's and most museums aren't really legit museums without uh, African artifacts in it. I'm just saying. Yeah, yeah. But if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I appreciate it. We got a few more minutes. My son just got back uh, from Langston University. He had his first school year. He survived it, and he did well. He got like a 3.9 GPA, and so we just got him. I had my Langston University shirt on today, so so I'm proud of him. I'm proud of all my children. So they're doing very well. But yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. We're gonna get into Nubia. Yeah, I didn't know that. Your son is in Langston too. That's pretty cool. Yeah, my son he runs track. Oh, he graduates next year. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think my son he has like another year and a half because he did he he had hours transfer. He plays Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Okay, yeah, everybody's not perfect. you know, the Omega Psi Phi fraternity incorporated. That is the chosen my choice. I can't tell grown folk nothing, but that's my choice. But shout out to the bros. Um, but yeah, I'm very excited about the summer. I am going to try to get the email list going, and we're going to chop it up about what's going to happen. Here's one book. Yeah, got that one. Introduction to African Civilizations. Okay, and this was pretty good. Okay, Kush and African Civilizations, Kush and Axum. It was pretty good. I knew about there was some issues. There was some wars. The Nile River Wars was happening. It was a thing, and I knew that Kush and say Kemet had Nile River Wars, but Kush tried to throw hands with Ethiopia, and it did not end well. So, so, but it's pretty interesting to hear about these people. We need to talk about those monarchs. Like, let me see. There's a couple of monarchs like Taharka. Of course, we know about Taharka, but Shabaka, many others. Pai. These were monarchs in Kush. We know their names, so now we need to know what they're about. What did they do? Uh, how did they govern themselves? Okay, what was that about? Right? Do you consider South Africa part of the African culture? Yes, but now let's be specific. Now we know there is South Africa. Okay, the Zulus, the Swazi, the Xhosa. I think if I'm pronouncing it right, the Malawi. And matter of fact, we coming up. We're still dealing with Manamatapa and those kingdoms in the south. But the foreigners, yeah, you may be born there, just like the people in Egypt. You may be born there, but you're not from there technically. You understand? It's like, yeah, George Washington can say he's American, but the Native Americans, the Apaches, and say, "No, hold on, bro, we we're we've been here for real, for real." So that's a weird medium. That's a weird space to be in a sense to where, yeah, we have people that have a birth certificate and says, I got the paperwork saying that I am this, but then people who originated from there say, yes, we are too, and we have more right than you. And it's, yeah. And so that's what we're trying to convey with certain individuals in Africa. Yeah, you may have been born there, but what is your point of origin? It's very interesting when you hear about the King's List in Kemet. There's about four of them. I can't name them off the top of my head. But there's about four King's List, and in every recognized king of Kemet, we need to find out about the King's List in Nubia too. I need to check that out if there's one, but it should be one, right? But each monarch in Kemet that was legit, the king of the north and south, was on the King's List. The people of the Platonic era, and Cleopatra and them, they were not on that list. So that would actually tell you. They should tell you, yeah, yeah, you're not. You may call yourself the Insubiti, but you're not ours. That kind of thing. Um, but it's an interesting thing to discuss and to handle. But all I can do is just teach the information. That's my goal, just to teach it and keep it moving. And we're gonna have a good time. But yeah, and let me see. I have so many books. This is another one. Black Genesis is another good one. Okay, that deal. It's Black Genesis, the prehistoric origins of ancient Egypt, and it goes into Nubia. Okay, uh, Naphtaliya. It deals with the monuments further south because there was some developments eons before the pyramids in Nubia and Ethiopia. Okay, and so check that out. Let me see, because it's almost time to go. Got any questions? Put that in the chat and tell me where you guys are from. Where you guys are from. And this is the journal and Jube Me's message. I made this. This is for children. Okay, okay, it's a little activity. Can you put some of those books in the notes? Yes. I'm gonna put them in the description once we close out. I'm gonna put them in there. Wonderful Ethiopians and Ancient Kushite Empire. I'm gonna put it in the description. I promise. But yeah, I'm very excited. And another reason why I'm excited because school is almost over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had a rough one this year. School is almost over. Well, we got another week. Yeah, so I am. I teach for those who don't know. I teach social studies. I teach history for real. I teach high schoolers and high school seniors specifically. They grown, but then they act like they in kindergarten. But I enjoy it, and I'm also over the social studies department. So the way I teach on here, I appreciate it. Greg Cheats, I appreciate it. Um, it's very similar to how I do it in school. Okay, but yeah, we're almost done. But I think I'm crazy enough to sign up for something like summer school. So, so I may have a few days off, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Are there before we end it? Are there any questions? I know we talked about the importance of Kush, studying Kush. It's time for Ta-Seti. It's about that time. We need to bring that spotlight further down south, okay? Because it's an African civilization too. It's a different perspective. It's We need to see that relationship between Kemet and Kush, and what else? That's something archaeological about it. We need to study those pyramids in the south, And much love to the family in Sudan right now. They are going through it. Pray for them. Okay. But are there any other questions? Because we about to go and celebrate this young man and the Civil War. Was there a civil war between Kush and Kemet? Not really. It was one of those things you need to get your life together. Um, there were some civil war in the sense there were change of the guard, and there were not the way that we see it, but it is the way we see it. They threw hands too, so it would say one of those things where this person should be king and of authority, and this person's in his seat. What are we gonna do? There has been times where a general took over, and because the king was weak and was the Phoenicians and the Syrians were coming in, and he was just chilling on it. Yeah, we're gonna have to go on and remove you. Um, Matter of fact, one of my favorite stories was Ramses the Third. There was some Assyrians in his camp. They have been there for a while, and one of the reasons why he was assassinated was because there were some people that got on the inside. Okay, so it has happened. It has happened. We got to be real about it. Civil War, yes, there have been. I guess you could say in a sense there have been some groups that rose. Uh, yeah. Ramses the Third. Where's that book, man? Next time I'm gonna bring that book. It is somewhere. It is written. It's written. It's written. It's some court cases in Kemet. God, I don't know what that book is. And I don't want to leave my seat. But it was some court cases in Kemet that wrote out some information concerning um, what happened. And Ramses III was mortally wounded. He he identified those individuals, but when it came to trial, he didn't live. He didn't live to see that trial. Okay, it was some ruffians, some individuals that um, was um, was there, and it was an inside job too. Okay, but the popular opinion is that his wife was jealous and and unalived him. But the reality is, it was a little bit more than that. It was a little bit more than three. It wasn't. It was. It was about. It was a group of them. It was. Yeah. Yeah. And so um, the story, uh, the European story, is that his wife was jealous because he was with somebody else. The thing is, this dude is the king of Egypt, so he had a group of them already. So that was not the case, according to this court case, according to this record. Which, if I can remember, next week when we go on live, I'll bring it. Okay, I will. But it was interesting. Now, matter of fact, the news mentioned that they found a monument not far from the pyramids or some kind of outline of a building in that same book, not the same series, not the same volume, but the same. In volume one, it talked about a temple of Isis located next to the pyramids. When we talking about primary sources, the people in Kemet, the judges and scribes wrote down this stuff. Now you're starting to see it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna get into Nubia. This is the book. One more time. This is the book we're gonna get into. Yeah. Let's see. In your perspective from reading, which African country holds the most precious ancient antiquity today? Ethiopia. Nah. I would say as wonderful as Ethiopia is, and I love Ethiopia. I love the fam, but it's not. No, it's right in the heart of it. We talking about Congo in Kenya. That's where it's at. Manamatapa. Zimbabwe, that little centralized area. I have a on one of my videos. There's a map. It basically that is yeah. According to Ethiopian legend, the Ark of the Covenant should be there, and they're the ones with the guts to say, yeah, we got it, and y'all can't go in here and get it. And the discussion, and I did some research on that. What long story short, the Ethiopian church had of course they dealt with the ark and so on. When when the Westerners, yeah, it's guarded. When the Westerners, the Europeans was trying to go in there looking for Prester John, okay, and they was being too nosy. They kicked them out. But then when Saladin and his army tried to come swoop through there, the Ethiopians kicked them out. So they remain neutral in this process. But yeah, it is guarded. Yes, it is. But as far as like overall antiquity, as far as overall um, treasure to be found, it is right in the center. And that's the reason why Congo is going through it. And they've been going through it since 2002. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions? Shout out. What's going on, everybody? I really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you very much. The people wanted Fridays, so we're gonna try to do it. Not every Friday, but we're gonna try to do it. But yeah, we're gonna get into Ta-Seti this summer. Nubia, Kush, ancient Kush. It's about time. It's really about time. Um, so, any other questions before we go? I appreciate you guys coming and listening. I'm also a blogger now. Shout out to Desert Dialogue. They're publishing my work. Yeah, yeah. That got to link up so we get more teaching. Yes, um, that's my aspiration. Eventually, I do want to um, do some more live sessions with people. Um, yes, I teach students, children, but I like to work with adults and kind of work with that. And so hopefully, Lord's will and the creek don't rise. We'll get to it. And I do want to do some live sessions. I know we're gonna try to host student enrollment, which is a free webinar before summer school. We're gonna try to get in on that. I'm working on some technology on that. So it's very important to me that um, stay in contact with the Ujumbe fam with what's happening, what's going on. But yeah, I do have some things in the mix, in the works, and and so you and your wife taking a Mediterranean cruise this summer. For, is it for your 40th birthday or anniversary? Take a lot of photos. Yeah, do that. Take pictures, but enjoy that moment, man. Enjoy being there. Um, every summer we try to birthday. Okay, my birthday is in the summer too, so yeah, that's what's up. That that's amazing. But we try to go somewhere every summer. Um, it's not just about reading books and doing all this, but enjoy family, enjoy. Because I have three children, so I try to enjoy them, and once they get on my nerves, they leave me alone. So, but are there any other questions before I turn you loose? I'm gonna make sure I put these in the description and all these that we're gonna. Oh, of course, I made this one. Midnight Sun Dream and Art Journal. This is for the adults who like to write what they see and hear and feel. Okay, yeah, this is um, something I'm working on. So check that out. But yeah, so I'll make sure I put the books in the description. Like I said, I'm a Amazon affiliate and I earn from qualifying purchases. So um, there's no additional cost. It's just I just get like a penny or whatever. But I really appreciate you guys coming. We're gonna get into Nubia. We're gonna get into Ta-Seti, and thank you guys for listening. Any other questions before we go? Okay. All right. If there are no questions, if there are none, I really appreciate you guys coming, and hopefully, um, we're gonna be rolling this summer. I have a few more interviews. Like I said, got a few interviews, got a few um, historians coming out, and people who do social action in the community. So it won't be just me talking. I'm gonna hear the people, and I'm really excited about that. So I'm looking forward to it. And all right, we're gonna talk to you later, and you have a good one. Peace.